Hello again, I'm James Ellis, and welcome to another episode of The Next Step, the podcast designed to get each and every one of you, whether you're talent acquisition leaders or recruiters or employer branders, to take the next step into AI. AI is a big old thing. It's very hard. It's complicated. And at the same time, every vendor seems to be sprinkling it on everything like it's, well, sprinkles. And it's overwhelming. I know that. So here, I'm just trying to focus on one challenge or two challenges in which AI can help you get a little better. The goal is to focus on real world challenges, which means either you email me or voicemail me a challenge, or I listen to podcasts where talent acquisition employer brand leaders talk about their work, talk about what they're doing, and we listen for challenges, sometimes stated, sometimes implied, and we identify ways AI can help. Couple of notes. One, I'm not getting any money from any vendors whatsoever. This is 100% free, no sponsorships, no nothing. I am not advocating any particular tool other than what I'm using and how I used it. Two, I don't want you to buy any more tools right now. This is not what this is about. This is simply using the bigger tool sets that are there and available so that you don't have to think about these solutions as tool focused. They are simply using AI to solve a little problem. And once you start to get your feet wet in what your Claudes and ChatGPTs can do, you will be stunned at what you're going to be able to accomplish. Okay, remember, if you have a challenge and you'd like me to attack it and figure it out and look at it and see how AI can help, just email me or just leave me a voicemail on LinkedIn. You know where I am. I mean, come on, I'm pretty obvious at this point. So just go ahead and leave me a voicemail and I will try to solve your problem with AI. Today, we're talking to employer branders specifically because I'm going back to employer brand land, my alma mater. And we're going to listen to a podcast from the Employer Branding Podcast. That's Jorgen's podcast. He's been doing it for a million years. It's a fantastic podcast. Honestly, it's an amazing repository, if you listen to it over time, of how employer brand thinking has been changing. And it has been changing. I'm a big advocate for saying employer brand, the way we did it 10 years ago, is not how we should be doing it today. So, really good podcast. Definitely put that on your radar. So thanks, Jorgen, for putting that together. This time, we're going to listen to the second to most recent episode, based on when I record this. It is Tara Orlando from a little company called Verizon, a little up-and-coming telecom you may know of. She had a very nice conversation with Jorgen, and what I did is I scraped the episode, I dumped it into ChatGPT. I'm using the O3 language model if you want to geek out a little bit with me. It has been really interesting. It came out a couple of weeks ago. It is really smart. It is really good at reasoning and thinking and putting things together. And reasoning is a complicated word when it comes to LLMs. Let's not get into this. I'm not a data scientist. You know that I got to have a degree in poli-sci. What do I know? But I can tell you the O3 model has been really good at doing much deeper thinking and deeper research. So what I did is I took the entire transcript of the episode and I dumped it into ChatGPT and I said, hey, read this episode and any available notes about the episode and either identify or infer 5 challenges that Tara is having in her day-to-day work. Now, this isn't to say that Tara is doing something wrong. I don't think that's the case at all. But the goal here is to identify challenges that you might be having, similar to a lot of other people, and show you ways AI can help, okay? The goal is to have you spend as little money as possible on this stuff, so we're just going to focus on how to use ChatGPT to solve some of these problems. Now, the problems she found, right, or were identified from her discussion, were things like closing critical skill gaps, overcoming consumer brand misconceptions. None of us know what that's like. Building an authentic EVP from massive, diverse inputs, providing ROI on tight HR budgets, and turning 100,000 employees into credible storytellers at scale. Pretty common stuff. These are challenges a lot of us share. So hopefully you can empathize with her situation, and she's got some solutions that she's come up with, but I've come up with some independent solutions specifically using AI. Remember, there's no one right way to do this. There's a million ways to do it. So, and in fact, I would argue that you should be trying new things all the time. That's what strategy is all about. But we're going to focus on the whole conversation around proving ROI on tight HR budgets. Yeah, no one has these fights at all. So here's the thing. I want to focus on the idea that we may have data. In fact, at this point, I feel like we've been talking about data for like 10 years at least. We've got the metrics. The challenge isn't always that we don't have the metrics. The challenge is communicating them to people who need to see the metrics and making them turn those metrics into positive feelings about the work we're doing and how we're helping. Remember, human beings are really, really messy and they're very, very complicated. And the truth is, they mostly, well, let's go ahead and be honest, they completely make decisions based on emotions and perception, and they use data to post-rationalize that decision. You see a car, you think that car is great looking, and you find a way to justify why you need that car. That's kind of how human brains kind of work. We all think we're rational apes. We're mostly just apes. Okay, so let's talk about how to prove the ROI. Now, again, you have the data and you probably have them in the spreadsheets, and maybe you're collecting things from your ATS, things like an ATS is also kind of a catch-all for your HRIS, HR ops systems or TA systems. And you can see things like, okay, what are our costs to hire? What are our time to fill? The average stuff. Collect them all. Here's what's really interesting and a great way to be using LLMs. Because our human brains are so kind of like, we can only handle X number of things at once, right? There's all the Dunbar number. You can only remember 7 plus or minus 3 things at once, right? Don't let me kind of neuroscience you yet. This is not the game I want to play. Just because I read a couple of books doesn't mean I'm an expert, because I am not. Poli-sci major, remember that. Anyway, human brains are looking for things, right? We're still Neanderthals in the bush looking for the berry. We're identifying it. We see lots of things, but we only perceive small things. We really do limit what we can see. There's plenty of examples of how our brains are hyper-focused on things. There's the experiment where they showed a bunch of people to count the number of times the ball dribbled, and they had a guy in a gorilla outfit run through the frame, and most people didn't see the gorilla because they were so hyper-focused on counting the bouncing balls. Very famous experiment. That's just how human brains work. We're looking for these little things. We're very hyper-focused. LLMs do not work like that to our benefit. Okay, so what you want to do is dump in all the data you can find, right? The thing is that you have so much data that you think in your head, who cares? That's dumb. Why would anyone want that number? Why would anyone want to know number of applications from that channel or, I don't know, there's all sorts of numbers. Your ATS in your HR ops system is just a big old database collecting data. Get it. Get all the data you can get. Talk to your HR ops system, your TA ops system, a person, op admin, and say, please, how can I do major league data dumps every quarter? And if they can automate it, which very often they can, they should, because you want to make this a regular thing. Okay, so you're going to get this dump of data. Heck, get your dumps of data from other places. LinkedIn provides you a quarterly report. Get it. Your Indeed gives you quarterly reports. Get those. Any place that you can pull quarterly data, do so. Then, off we go to ChatGPT, version 03 at the moment. It will, by the way, think, and I don't know what it's doing in the background. I'm not a data scientist. We've explained this yet. But it will think about this stuff. And if you dump a bunch of data that it's not necessarily clear how this information connects, where it's not necessarily clear if any of this data is useful, I am always stunned by what it comes up with. So dump in the data, you upload the files, and you say, hey, you don't actually have to say hey. In my head, I say, hey, I'm trying to be friendly to these bots just in case one day they rule the earth, and, I can survive somehow. Anyway. Right? Any of you say please and thank you to your Alexas and Google bots? Yeah, me too. Okay, here we go. You're going to dump all that data in, and you're going to say, this is the quarterly data of our recruiting ecosystem. I am a talent acquisition leader, and I need to understand how things have changed quarter on quarter. So that means you might even get 2 quarters worth of data. Understand shifts. I would also like to understand how communicating more regularly with candidates, communicating more widely via ads, anything you're doing from an employer brand standpoint, list those tactics in this request, in this prompt, and say, I'm doing all these things. I would like to identify, or have you identify, places where you can infer that these actions are leading to these outcomes. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, that is deeply fuzzy, dude. Infer, and what if these data sets don't combine? Stop thinking like an analyst. This is not what this is about. You are not here. Look, Look, I will give you $100 right now if you go into your ATS and say, get all the data around your attribution data, where people came from when they applied, and then go to LinkedIn and get its attribution data, and I will give you $100 if those numbers correlate. They don't. They never do. They never do. I've been doing this for years. They never do. Everybody's lying a little bit in their own funny, fuzzy way. And they're doing it in an upstanding, honest, data-driven way, but no one is being 1,000% factual because everybody has different points of view. Everybody has different biases. You got to get past that, man. You got to get past it. And I know I did a whole Dennis Hopper there, but whatever. You got to get past that. You got to let that go because you will never get the data exactly right, but that's not what data is for. Data is not to provide answers. Data is there to help you ask better questions and identify better solutions. Remember that. Okay, so you're dumping this data into ChatGPT. You write this big long prompt. Please infer what these actions that I've been taking have made, how they've made outcomes. Submit, boom, let it roll. It's going to come up with a bunch of things. It's a great start. The nice thing about ChatGPT 3 right now is that it seems like it has a fairly unlimited kind of chat window. You keep having the conversation. In fact, you can keep this open and you can go into the sidebar and kind of change the name and remember that this is an ongoing conversation. So what I would do is change the name of this conversation to Q3 2025 conversation, right? Just so you remember, you can come back to it. It will remember the data you uploaded. Okay. So it comes up with a bunch of things that it infers. Then you want to ask, pretend that you are presenting to the CFO in 1 week. Based on all the data you have seen, what are some metrics that help us identify how the work we're doing is leading to positive business outcomes? Before you hit submit. This is my favorite trick. I'm giving it all away, man. My favorite trick is before you answer, ask me any questions that will help you create the best possible answer. I love that bit. I love that trick because it will review the information, it will review the prompt, it will think for a minute, and then it will go, yeah, you know what would be helpful if I knew this, and this, and you answer it. Now, sometimes it will say, I wish I knew basic business information. And that's when you, especially if you're in a public company or you can access this information, go get your quarterly results data. Grab that piece of data and throw it in. Oh, you didn't know you could do that. Yeah, you can. It's fantastic stuff. Anyway, throw in your quarterly business report in there and help it provide context to what the business is doing. Answer the questions it has, and you will be stunned by the things it comes up with. Okay, we are not done yet. Because when I ran these questions with ChatGPT and I asked it to think about ways of solving these problems, and it came up with some interesting answers. Here, let's scroll down. Let me see. The challenge to ROI was, hey, you should do metric storytelling. That's nice. I don't know what that means. And it's, pipe ATS exports to GPT once a month, have it auto-generate one-page media ROI pulse deck so you can forward on straight to finance. That's a nice idea. It can actually, remember, ChatGPT can actually make a slide deck for you. You can actually make a slide. And you can say, based on all this monthly data, please provide a monthly snapshot of metrics. You can even upload previous decks and say it should mimic this format, make the deck, and then bam, you can do it. And it saves you lots of time. Because let's be fair, moving the data from place to place is a pain in the ass, and it takes a long time, and it eats up all your schedule, and blah, blah, blah. But then I asked it, let me get the exact quote. Hey, feel free to get more creative in thinking about and solving these problems. That was my prompt to ChatGPT, and it thought for 13 more seconds. And the answer it came up with was kind of hilarious. Where'd it go? All right. It wants you to make TikTok style, 1 minute TikTok style videos for 2 or 3 metrics that it came up with so that you can pass those videos to your finance team because it knows a dashboard is nice and it gets seen and it gets read and it gets forgotten. But we're not here to justify the data. What we're trying to do is show how the work we're doing impacts the larger conversation. And part of that, the way we do that is not just data, but also how we tell the stories around data. And that means talk about the data on video. Just do a 1 minute video saying, hey, Based on our data points, this happened, this happened, this happened, therefore this happened, this happened. Here's a funny story about what we saw. We hope you enjoyed this. Let us know if you have any further questions. Cut video, send to finance. ChatGPT said, don't do ChatGPT, make a personal video. I love this stuff. I love when it just kind of goes, yeah, I'll think creatively, dude. I'll swing for the fences here. It came with some other crazy ideas. Hold on, let me scan. We found some very interesting things. Oh, here was the craziest idea. It came up with a different problem, but I'm just going to bring it up because it shows that at this point, the O3 model of ChatGPT is thinking at a pretty high level. It's coming up with some very creative stuff. And again, it did it in seconds. The challenge was, how do you smash consumer brand misconceptions, right? You've got your buyers and you've got your candidates, and there's an overlap, and there's misconceptions that keep buyers from turning into candidates. What it said was, make an AR Easter egg, meaning, well, what do we know about Verizon candidates? They all have Verizon phones. Interesting. What if you put a QR code or something on every Verizon storefront? So that if they opened TikTok or whatever app you decide to do this for and pointed at a Verizon store and it scanned that information, it played a quick video. Something like, hey, behind this, and this is straight from ChatGPT, behind this glass, 5,000 engineers are optimizing satellites. Tap to meet one. I mean, that is so fantastic on both a employer brand model and a consumer marketing model. You're talking to both audiences, you're connecting those dots, you're doing really, really good. I do want to point out, to finish this conversation up, Verizon is one of the few companies that allowed its marketing team, its CMO, to drive the EVP development. Now, is that good or bad? I don't know, but it's an interesting development. I'm finding that the talent acquisition, employer brand models tend to be very shy, very tame, very soft, and marketing may not get it exactly right, if there's such a thing as exactly right, but I'm interested to see how marketing is taking some bigger swings and coming up with bigger, bolder taglines. I still think they got a lot to learn about what employer brand does and how it works, and I appreciate this kind of shift in tone and this shift in leveraging the resources in the company. The value, of course, is this is going to be a company where the marketing team, who has all the budget, is going to be seeing how the employer brand and the consumer brand can kind of fit together, where a 2 + 2 = 47 situation can arise. Is that an AI thing? No, but I found it to be fascinating because I didn't actually listen to this podcast. What I did is I grabbed the transcript and I let ChatGPT read it for me and tell me what was interesting in it. That's another great way for you to learn more. You should be listening to more podcasts, but who has the time? You can scrape these transcripts, you can scrape these videos and throw them into these LLMs and say, give me the 5 bullet points that I should learn and cite them. Give me quotes. There's no reason you can't ask for quotes because it'll give it to you. I know you're worried about hallucinating. Everybody's terrified of hallucinating. But if you specify do not hallucinate, if you say cite the material, it will do so. It doesn't want to hallucinate. And if you give it a lot of information, it will infer based on the data it has. In fact, if you go back to this data analysis process and it comes up with something crazy, you can literally ask, hey, where did you come up with this number? Or show me the formula, or show me the raw inputs for this number. So you can decide, is it using data that you gave it, or is it coming up with something out of thin air? It's not hard. And again, it saves you a day or two of time, and it endears you to the finance team, who are going to be, hey, they're having a relationship with you. They understand what this team they barely know about is doing and how their work is impacting the larger company. So, thanks for listening to another episode of The Next Step. Hopefully we've helped you take the next step. If you've got a challenge, if you've got a question, I'll solve it. No, I didn't say that. But send it to me, send me a voicemail. Also, check out Employer Brand Labs. I'm putting together some really new things. Reports that tell you exactly how you're being perceived by candidates. Reports that actually validate if your EVP is showing up in all your candidate ecosystems, and even a complete competitive set audit, a big deep dive of 20 different companies and understanding what they're all saying and where you can stand out. So check out employerbrandlabs.com and you can see some of those reports as well as employer brand work I can do for you. So thanks so much for listening. Be sure to tell a friend, be sure to tell a coworker, and don't forget, you should never be scared to take the next step.